The Falcon power supply unit is a microprocessor-controlled digital AC power source used for accurate speed control of a turntable motor. The power supply will work with any AC synchronous motor that is 5 watts or less. The Falcon uses direct digital synthesis to create an extremely accurate and clean sine wave that improves motor speed stability and allows the user to precisely adjust the turntable platter speed. All of the operating parameters are stored in non-volatile memory, and the device always powers up with the last used speed and frequency offset displayed. The Falcon is powerful enough to start up in either speed selection, so there is no need to start in 33 RPM, then switch to 45 RPM as in other units. The Falcon has a serial input for use with the optional Roadrunner digital tachometer. When connected to a Roadrunner, the Falcon power supply automatically synchronizes its output frequency to maintain a constant speed on the turntable within 0.005 RPM. No user setup or intervention is needed. Plug the cable in between the tachometer and the power supply, and the Falcon immediately locks to the correct speed, even if speed offsets are selected. Normal operation. The Falcon supply will power up in standby mode, as indicated by 3 dashes on the display. To exit standby mode, press the standby button. The turntable motor will run at the speed last selected when standby mode was entered. To change between 33 and 45 RPM, press the standby button. The turntable speed can be changed in 0.1 RPM steps while in normal mode. To increase the speed, press the plus button. To decrease the speed, press the minus button. Each press of the plus or minus button will increase or decrease the speed by 0.1 RPM, with a maximum offset of 1 RPM. The last selected speed will be saved when changing speeds or when the power supply enters standby mode. To stop the turntable platter from rotating, enter standby mode by pressing and holding the standby button until the 3 dashes are shown on the display. Frequency calibration mode. The output frequency of the Falcon power supply is extremely accurate, better than 0.01%. On belt drive turntables, there are many variables that can affect speed, such as belt tension and slippage, and even the position of the belt on the motor pulley. To compensate for these variables, the Falcon power supply allows you to precisely adjust the output frequency in 0.01 RPM steps. The fine adjustment is done in frequency calibration mode, and there are separate adjustments for both 33 and 45 RPM settings. Enter frequency adjustment mode from standby mode by pressing and holding the plus button. Press and release the standby button. The display will show CAL to indicate frequency calibration mode. The display will briefly show the current speed, then display the offset for that speed selection. Using a strobe device or a tachometer, adjust the offset for the selected speed by pressing the plus or minus buttons until the desired speed is indicated. To select the other speed, press and release the standby button. Adjust the speed for the new selection as before. When both speeds are properly adjusted, save the calibration data by pressing and holding the standby button. The display will show SAV indicating the data is stored, then revert to standby mode. Voltage output mode. The voltage output mode is used to adjust the output voltage the power supply reverts to after the platter has reached operating speed. The motor requires much more torque at startup than it does once the platter is on speed. By reducing the running voltage once the platter is moving, vibration and noise are greatly reduced. The power supply will always assert the maximum output voltage when starting or changing speeds, then revert to the programmed lower voltage after approximately 3 seconds. Voltage output mode has separate adjustments for 33 and 45 RPM. Both can be selected, displayed, and adjusted while in voltage output mode. Enter voltage output mode from standby mode by holding the minus button. Press and release the standby button. The display will show VLT to indicate voltage output mode. The display will briefly show the current speed, then display the reduced output voltage for that speed selection. The display is an approximation of the output voltage. For more accurate adjustment, connect a voltmeter to the output while making the adjustment. Change the output voltage using the plus and minus buttons for the lowest vibration while running at that speed. Each press of the button changes the output voltage approximately 1 volt. To select the other speed, press and release the standby button. Adjust the voltage for the new selection as before. When both speeds are properly adjusted, save the voltage output data by pressing and holding the standby button. The display will show SAV to indicate the data is stored, then revert to standby mode. Pulley selection mode. The Falcon power supply can be used with motors and pulleys that are designed for 50 Hz and 60 Hz operation. Either pulley has two spindles, the small spindle for 33.3 RPM operation and a larger spindle for 45 RPM. The Falcon changes speeds by adjusting the frequency of the AC signal, so only one spindle is utilized for both speeds. Normally, the Falcon will give the best results when using the smaller spindle. However, the Falcon PSU can accommodate both small and large spindle operation for either 50 Hz or 60 Hz installations through front panel programming. Enter pulley selection mode by removing the power plug. Press and hold the plus button while reinserting the power plug. The display will show PLY to indicate pulley selection mode. Release the plus button and the display will show the currently selected pulley and spindle. Use the plus and minus buttons to select the proper pulley and spindle combinations. The four choices are 50 Hz small, 50 Hz large, 60 Hz small, and 60 Hz large. When the proper pulley and spindle are displayed, save the selection by pressing and holding the standby button. The display will show SAV to indicate the data is stored, then revert to standby mode. Factory default mode. To restore the Falcon operating parameters to the factory defaults, remove the power plug. Press and hold the plus and minus buttons while inserting the power plug. The display will show FAC to indicate factory default programming mode has been entered. Release both buttons and the display will show DON to indicate factory programming is complete. Press and hold the standby button to enter standby mode. Factory default programming saves the following data: current speed, 33 RPM. Frequency calibration, set to 0 for both 33 and 45 RPM. Output voltage, set to 88% for 33 and 45 RPM. Tachometer operation. The Falcon power supply can be connected directly to the Roadrunner digital tachometer or Roadrunner light sensor via a 3-wire serial cable in order to synchronize its outputs with the direct measurement of the platter speed. Operation is completely automatic with no user intervention needed. The tachometer outputs the speed reading once per revolution. The power supply compares this reading to the speed on the display and can make microfine adjustments to the output frequency to lock the turntable speed to within 0.005 RPM. The adjustment is done slowly and evenly over the entire next revolution and is inaudible to the listener. The turntable remains on speed independent of the belt tension, bearing oil viscosity, drag from the needle, or any other variables that cause the table to drift over time with speed. Whenever the Falcon power supply is applying a correction to the speed, the decimal point will blink on the Falcon's LED display. Sensor placement. The Roadrunner tachometer uses a sensor mounted to the turntable plinth and a small magnet mounted to the underside of the platter or subplatter to measure the rotational speed of the platter. The sensor requires approximately 1/4 inch of clearance between the plinth and platter for the sensor and magnet to be properly installed. Step 1. Installing the magnet. Install the magnet to the underside of the platter at the very edge of the platter or subplatter. Step 2. Installing the sensor. Plug the cable from the tachometer into the sensor PCB and turn on the Roadrunner tachometer. The display should show 5 dashes. Before removing the adhesive protector on the sensor, position the sensor PCB on the plinth so that Q1 will be directly below the magnet when the platter rotates. Manually move the platter until the magnet is directly over the sensor PCB. The leftmost LED digit will display the dash whenever the sensor is able to detect the magnet. With the sensor PCB in the proper position, mark the location with a small piece of masking tape. Remove the adhesive protector from the sensor PCB and place it in the exact position under the magnet. Confirm the leftmost dash is turned on and off when the platter is manually rotated. For any additional customer service questions, please visit our website.